Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and guess what we've got back? We'll go into that in a minute, but the wife, Lisa D, said to me, your YouTube studio, your office looks a bit boring. You need something like a houseplant in the corner. So we employed him and got him back.
Here it is. Hey, world. Hey, Marty. Hey, babe. It's me, houseplant. Yeah, in the neighbourhood, so I thought I'd just pop by.
And we just strapped him into the chair. Now we're going to
Rather than strapped on.
Now we're going to apply a bit of electricity. Paul's very excited because what did you see happened in the automotive media this week, particularly in Australia?
Well, in Sydney, the winner, we saw the very first Cybertruck driving the streets of Sydney.
We did. What do you think?
I didn't see it driving the streets.
Yeah, well, it did.
I saw it parked up in a few various locations.
No, it's on a manufacturer plate. So the car belongs to the factory, and so which means you can drive it not on freeways, on certain roads, in daylight. It has restrictions, but it hasn't been driving around.
Explains why I haven't seen too much of it, though.
They took it through the cross. They even parked it at Bondi Beach. It's a bit risky, isn't it?
It's definitely risky, and I guess they washed it with just a cloth.
Are you excited?
Yeah, a little bit excited to see it in the flesh. I was hoping it would come here, but...
It may, because it's doing an Australian tour. There's ones in Europe doing a European tour. There's Cybertrucks throughout Asia doing an Asian tour.
Yep.
Unfortunately, though, trendsetters, it doesn't mean they're really going to release them here.
Nah, it doesn't mean anything. It's, what do they call that? The PR World Tour?
Yeah, I think it's quite good. I mean, just because Bon Jovi come and visit and put on a concert doesn't mean you're going to take one of them home.
Fair cool.
Same thing.
Fair cool. But then again, why would they bring it here? Surely there's a chance.
Because it's cool, I think, and it'll bring people because it's on display in some of their showrooms throughout the eastern states. Of course, I'm flying up there.
Yep.
You know, what sort of fanboy would you be? You know, what sort of Elon bull rider would...
Especially you.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest fan.
So I can have a selfie with it, wizard wand out.
Yep.
Cybertruck. And of course, at home, I'm just being like, scoff that over it. But, oh, well, you know, apparently there's a Bentley up there, though, that also needs looking at. So it's a good up and out.
It's a win-win.
That's a story for another time. So
nice.
One thing you would have noticed if you were reading about it is the general comments have been fairly cruel, particularly in Australia, about the vehicle. I mean, there is a whole media thing going on now where you make media and you make clicks and you make money out of being as negative as you can towards it.
Yep. You've got to be obnoxious, rude, crude, that sort of thing. And there's your little hook.
Like there was a guy that used to be an automotive journo who wasn't quite bad. He's actually an engineer who now only refers to it. He's an Aussie. He's never seen one. He refers to it as the cyber urinal because he's worked out that it actually makes more ad revenue than it does by calling it a Cybertruck. Yep. So we're going to go the other way. But why is the media so mean?
Because it's a Tesla, because it's an EV. Because, let's face it, they're all taking photos of it, getting heaps of press, because they're just waiting for it to spontaneously combust.
Well, that's about the only thing that hasn't happened at this stage.
Right.
Let's have a look at some of the problems.
Give it a few minutes. It should be on fire any minute now.
There were two problems. 2 cars out of 3,878 or whatever were delivered in the first 3 months or 4 months of production, where the accelerator... you don't call it a gas pedal, do you? Where the accelerator or throttle pedal, the cover slipped off, which could potentially jam the thing flat out.
Yes, which could be pretty bad.
Well, not really, because you know what happens?
The car decides it doesn't want to go that quick.
If you touch the brake, it disengages the throttle. So the moment you hit the brake, the car's... Right. You can't press both pedals at once. It's not a commo where you can do a 6 skid, mate.
Well, then how did you line up at the drag? Surely you brought it up, stalled it up.
No, you can't. It goes both pedals depressed at once, you know, failing to press C. Yeah. So if it did happen, all you got to do is rest on the brake and the car just disengages and you drive. But it's still not a good thing to have happen.
Definitely not a good thing to have happen, but I do like the fix. I thought the fix was...
So let's just say it was a Ford F-150 and it had the same problem with the throttle pedal. How do you reckon a traditional car company like Ford would go around fixing that?
To be honest with you, Ford F-150, national recall. Mm-hmm. We're talking, how many Teslas? Two Teslas. How many Ford F-150s have sold in the States, say, this year? It'd be near 1 billion, surely.
But how would they have handled it, regardless of how many they've sold?
They'd have to do a recall, wouldn't they? Get them all back to the dealership.
And sit there and wait till there's a redesigned part for it.
Well, that's a good point. Or come up with a real simple fix.
Well, how was this fixed? This is my favourite. Come on.
Do it. The simple fix is, and sometimes the old saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, like they put a little template on, they drilled a hole, they put in a rivet.
And that
is it.
goes there. Now, that isn't the final fix.
No, that's the interim one, so that I guess if there is any drama, like you said, you could get into a world of trouble. You could tap the brake and it's all over. But there's some people that are not going to think that way when their Cybertruck's hurling down the road.
Well, that's right. And they've also, there was a big Tesla meetup in SoCal in California, and the mobile rangers went out there and did everyone's truck that was there while they were there.
Right.
And they come out to your house and do it and so on. So
do the fire brigade attend those events?
No, they don't. Because there aren't as many booger eaters in America as there are in Australia.
Right.
So, there's some people online have written Cybertruck in rivets on their pedal and done it themselves. So it's cool, but I suppose it shows what being a sharp, edgy company.
I tell you now, there wouldn't be many Commodores out there that feature the aftermarket pedals from Super Cheap that don't have 2 rivets in there. That's what. In fact, they're probably fake rivets.
Well, Super Cheap aren't a car manufacturer.
No, true, but you can get.
Well, they could be if you look at what's on the road out this way.
There's click-on pedals that have fake rivets in them because it looks cool.
What's the next biggest problem these cars have got? And we were talking about it when we were talking about the beach.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned about did they take that Sydney one through the car wash. It turns out there's nothing they can't do except for go through a car wash. You can't wash these cars, people.
You got this wrong. Car wash is next. Okay, no, keep going with the car wash.
Yeah, the car wash.
Why can't you wash them?
Because they're impervious to everything except water, it seems. I mean, there's this one out there that you would have to say looks like a barn find.
He's getting this all mixed up.
It's got patina. It's well aged.
What actually happened with the car wash is a YouTuber or someone that makes money out of clicks took his car through a car wash, his Cybertruck through a car wash. Now they have a thing called car wash mode. What car wash mode does is it doesn't do anything fancy. It stops the auto wipers coming on.
That's
it stops.
That's
it just stops
rain
them.
sensing.
Yeah, it stops all of that gear happening. It doesn't do anything special. He said his car just bricked itself in the car wash and wouldn't start up and had no power. So he treated it like an iPhone, held both buttons down, it refired up,
reset,
booted off, and away it went.
Right.
So that was worthy of a million articles.
Yeah, but I guess he didn't get to that bit till the end of the story.
Oh, he sort of said it took like 45 minutes to reboot. I can tell you now they take about 2 minutes.
Maybe meant 4 to 5 minutes.
4 to 5. Well,
45, 4 to 5.
It did get engagement though. On the net. So on to the next big one, rust.
Yeah. Yeah, which I thought went hand in hand with the car wash. I thought, no.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Now this thing is real though, isn't it? There's been a lot of cars out there. This is it what, low-grade stainless?
Engagement farm. Well, I suppose it's what they make like Starship out of. So I imagine you just go down your steel supplier and buy some 30X.
Starship doesn't go through the car wash, does it?
Well, it leans in salt water normally. Normally you wrap it unexpected disassembly form, but
they don't reuse those. They park them up.
Do you want to know what happened with the rust?
Go for it, Marty, because this is going to be interesting.
Well, stainless steel will rust. It depends on what you've alloyed it with or what the actual material structure is. They reckon they did it so that it doesn't rust. Now, there are some reports on the net where people have seen little spots of rust, particularly after delivery on the surface. And so they buff it off or wipe it off or spray it off or whatever. But do you know what it actually was?
Fallout.
Yeah, rail.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that on every car, to be honest with you, especially a white car. Anyone own a white car, live or work in an area of heavy industry, you're going to see rust all over that sucker. Run your hand over it. Or don't, because it's...
What about my brand new white VXSS?
Yes.
Took it to an exhaust shop and I pushed it in the back corner next to the cut-off saw for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then pushed it out in the rain. I came back to an orange Commodore. I was more than happy about that when it was 4 weeks old.
That will and can happen, and that is something we have to look into, because that's going to be even worse. The fact that they have no paint on them and they're that silver colour. If they did release them in an orange, it wouldn't have been an issue. But onto the colour, I did notice, this is something that caught my eye with them. is that you'll see a lot of people gave Commodores and certain models out there a lot of flack in the past because of the mismatched panels. Like plastics don't match the same as the doors or whatever because of the paint factory doing them in a
Curtains don't match
the drapes
or whatever.
But they paint different parts of the car in different areas. But the Cybertruck completely unpainted. Not an issue, you would think.
Depends where the light's hitting you.
Couldn't help but notice that even the steel had different colours.
It can, depending on how the light reflects and how it's photographed. Normally, they kind of look the same shiny colour.
Sort of.
Well, you can sort that out for yourself by going to Sydney.
That's not a bad idea.
But the sad fact about this whole thing is that the thing isn't bad. Those in the know that are proper auto journalists that have tested it, they love the 48 volt architecture, they love the four-wheel steering, they love the fact it does a high 10-second quarter mile. There are things about it they don't love, but to see
how it looks,
to see people influenced by 17-year-old clickbaiters that do gaming videos and also car reviews on YouTube and TikTok, sorry YouTube, I hope you don't silence me for that, is a little bit disappointing. So it's about time we all put our big boy pants on, grew up, and get me to Sydney.
Let's do it.